Are we live?
Wait, hold on. Alright. Alright. Let's see. Alright. Looks like we have a little bit of uptime. And it looks like we are all good. Hopefully everything is correct. Everything look good on your side, Barrett? Or Bjorddd, I'm sorry. You see the game, everything like that? Is that correct? Alright, glad he is muted. Anyways, here we are with the Texan Esports game against, I believe it is New Mexico. We are currently going to be going on to the second map, as our first map stream decided to not want to work. So here we are.
Yeah, lots of technical issues, but hopefully those are resolved here now. I say hopefully. We know they're resolved. I'm very confident in Schlitten's PC's ability to handle any of the OBS things, but we're heading into map number 2. If you weren't aware, Texans are leading the series 1-0 as they were able to take Bind 13-9. And we're going on to Sunset. One of those maps you see pretty often out of our Texans.
I believe, at least for Tarleton State White, they haven't really encountered Waylay that much, as I know Tarleton State White themselves don't really play Waylay that much on their own time, but you know, encountering it, I'm not so sure. Definitely with the new character and everything, I'm not so sure if we know how to properly defend against it if it is played in the correct circumstance.
Played correctly, it's very strong. There's a reason why it's meta. There's us on the purple team, we ran into it pretty much every game, and we played it a bit ourselves. The double dive meta that is kind of adapted into this current stage of the game, pretty commonly seen. We are going to get to see some of that here. Maybe not the double dive specifically, but the Waylay playing around the double initiator setup with Breach Fabe, which was one of those older metas, but you can still make it work, especially on this map. There's a lot of good stun lines for Breach, so I do like the idea behind New Mexico's composition. In the meantime, Tarleton will be running their own version of a double initiator, more based off of comfort picks, in my opinion. Sync staying on his Yoru, Soph on the Gecko, and DarkKnight on Clove. So yeah, more of that playing around comfort.
Yeah, I definitely think from both sides we're going to be seeing a lot more different playstyles, as the Gecko can be aggressive, but it's a little bit more for it's like a half info, half flash character ability. You're mainly using it for the information that it can gather, more or less of using it as a push ability. Please do let me know people in chat who are able to see the stream if everything is going okay on our side. It does look like the stream is currently up, so we have success so far.
Ain't that a relief, right? Nevertheless, we're about to head into round number 1. Tarleton will be starting on the attack, as New Mexico, they sit with a kind of a 2-1-2 look on defense. Waylay starting top mid. Breach playing the common stun lines on A along with the Fade. Cypher, of course, setting up on B, supported by the Omen and Market, who likely bought Paranoia to try and slow down any incoming push. Tarleton, they're just going to go ahead and 5-man contact up B. And maybe look to explode out onto the site as you have those Yoru teleports. Pretty good counter to the Cypher utility. Sync, I believe he's going to spot that trip. Yeah.
You're going to see this smoke's going to come up. It does look like New Mexico are going to be taking the bait a little bit, as Tarleton look to just kind of creep a little bit up mid.
I'd say commonly what teams will do is leave one player on the A line after gaining the A space, but New Mexico kind of, like you said, biting a tad bit with the over-rotation, as 4 players now lean towards the B side. Tarleton, they look to re-clear mid and re-smoke top mid and maybe end in a B split. Meantime,
cutting through.
Ozzy, they're waiting to market. Open Paranoia, he's just kind of doing 180s. Lost in the sauce, still gets a kill though. Takes out Moxie somehow.
Kind of looks to get one.
30 seconds left.
A little bit.
She's not ready.
And the flood is coming through from New Mexico. Tarleton, they get the bomb down, but they are trapped. Because New Mexico, they were successfully able to maintain backside control. And this spells danger for Tarleton. much more can they find? They jiggle these angles. Rhino and DarkKnight locked into default, supported by Sync. So gonna find first blood on Sync, making it 3 versus 4, but 2 kills immediately going back the way to Mexico. And the danger spells trouble for Tarleton. Pistol going to New Mexico. They lead this one 1-0.
Yeah, the post-plant utility for, or I guess the post-plant retake utility from the side of New Mexico is going to be definitely oppressive, and it may be a little bit of rounds before Tarleton can realize how much they can control the space of just encountering the waylay slow, the breach stun, the breach flash, the breach C, you know, all of these countermeasures to be able to flood back into sight is definitely going to be something hard for Tarleton to deal with.
We're really gonna have to look out for that, and I think the main deal breaker in that round is the ability of New Mexico to hold back site control and not awarding that to Tarleton. So sure, they get the bomb down, but like you said, with that take ability from the breach, any of those players sitting in the default positions are gonna get pretty much stomped by it. And that's exactly what we saw happen there. We're gonna be going forward onto the eco round. Tarleton, they're gonna be 5-man grouping up in mid. Waylay did get some of that info. Koga with the immediate dash. Saw a few players, but no kills come out from that. They're just gonna slowly work their way towards the top mid smoke.
This is pretty, yeah, this is a pretty common eco call. We have seen before from the side of New Mexico. Being able to
be honest, it feels like New Mexico were pretty well prepared. They now have 3 players. Top mid side.
Down mid.
Well to get another kill back, but it is a 1 versus 3 versus 4. So you got to respect the counter utility there. Mexico's, they had the Omen Paranoia, Waylay slow to stop the rush of classics top mid. And New Mexico do well to get their second round on the board.
Another thing to notice,
It goes here.
Sorry, when I play the game, it decides to not want to work, so I usually hide everything. There we are, a little bit cleaner on our side. Oh, you see, as Tarleton finally get their first reply of the match.
You have Stun is going to catch on to Sync, but no players to play around it. So Breach is dumping all this utility, but all it's going to do is really slow down the push from Tarleton just a bit. Maybe buy enough time for Waylay to make their way over to rotation. See if he spells some trouble for Tarleton. Locked in onto the side. DarkKnight gets first blood onto Mickey. Comes to push. Sync pushes his way forward. Koga takes one down, but the sharp shots from Sync. An excellent transfer and good trading, good spacing out of the players from Tarleton. That one Rhino. He's gonna get himself another kill. 4 versus 1 for the Cypher. He's gonna be able to find anything. Or they're gonna try to just save their guns. Pretty nice bonus round out of the Texans. Clean up the final kill.
Great first full by the side of Tarleton. Being able to finally just get the weapon artillery onto the board. Just the flashes and all the utility just makes the team as I would like to see Tarleton try to counter this Waylay play a little bit, because we've seen this Waylay Rocker recall and double dash into tiles for 2 rounds in a row now. We'll see if this continues to happen.
Yeah, it gets some info, but I'd argue that it's also wasting one of those important cooldowns. So Waylay's able to use that dash with the breach stun and utility. Take space on retakes or whatever it's going to be, like a re-clear. It's pretty valuable, so I don't know if you want to be using that for information mid every round. Yeah, it looks like a little bit of a change in strategy. As the players from New Mexico sit a bit more passively. Mozzie seems willing to poke around here in top mid, but isn't going to find anything. Going to flip to back up against the thing. Maybe split. The eye is going to catch onto Keanu. The Omen Blind hits onto Mozzie. So Architect does well to get one back, making it a 4 versus 4. This time they have been successful in taking backside, so it's a much different look for Tarleton than it was on the pistol. Architect doing really good to get a second kill. I will tag on this guy. He's got nowhere to go. Architect with 3. Soph gets 2 back. Rhino backside to secure the final kill. Soph with 3.
Just great hold by Soph there. You could just see the side of New Mexico, just how oppressive this team comp is, of just almost nowhere to hide. Just not being able to sit in these little cubby spots, as it's just so much utility on everything. But Soph being able to find the picks, be able to find the 1v1s, just to be able to win Tarleton the round.
At first, it almost looked like New Mexico were the ones that control that retake. As there's Architect finally almost immediately, but then the trades from Soph and Rhino, backside, and around the default. On an individual success enough to get Tarleton across the board. Sync pretty much interrupted that hero ultimate, as all the kills go for favor Tarleton. This round doesn't seem very close. Final 2 players from Mexico, they might just look the same. Unless they're on a lower buy, which is might.
There's one thing you do like to see of kind of how the Bulls are talking about this game, being able to just make sure that in no way whatsoever is New Mexico allowed to win this round.
Yeah, those ults being used as round security.
One enemy remaining.
Again, guaranteeing kills, and it is flawless as they build up their economy.
Great round by Tarleton, being able to fix just everything. I'm to turn up my mic a little bit, but who cares? Who wants to listen to me?
Everyone wants to listen to you.
Yeah,
amazing voice. Sound sarcastic.
But I look to see as Tarleton look to go for a little bit more default approach. Something, just taking it a little bit more slower, especially changing up the tempo from the previous round.
He also got a change in positioning just a bit, not by much. The Omen's going to retake Wayley's position top mid, and Koga is going to play market. Kind of a surprising change in my opinion, due to the fact the Architect was finding a lot of success with the Omen paranoia and stopping the splits. But Koga's going to take his turn at it, see what he can do. Gets a timing into the smoke. He may not be prepared for it. Walk back in. And yeah, gets punished immediately. Mozzie's gonna find one back.
Finding another.
Oh, I'll just keep it matter. Waylay might have been Yana's getting 1 kill backside. Nice. Follow up does.
Where's our...
Knight is able to get himself back up, turning the numbers back in favor of Tarleton once again.
Bring them down.
With the bomb landed. See if Tarleton are able to post play. They still have the bait. Use that one. It seems like Rhino's willing to hang on to it.
One enemy remaining.
Lean shooting from Soph and Rhino again. They seem to be the factors in turning the rounds in the clutch, at least when it comes down to the post plans on B. That's the second time they were able to clean up the final 2 kills of the round.
Yeah, and Mazzy just being able to find both of those picks, even while slowed, kind of shows one of the very minuscule fault of crowd control in this game. Just still being able to shoot, still being able to you know, fight for your life, and just Mazzy being able to guarantee that kill. As this Waylay is gonna full push as Tarleton hears it, recalling just to get the information.
I'd say it's a little bit of a tragic round again from New Mexico. It almost felt like they had yet another advantage, but it was kind of tossed away as DarkKnight was able to run down the Cypher in CT, get himself back up, and turn the numbers in favor of Tarleton once again, when it was kind of looking like the opposite at first. But New Mexico, their economy is going to be once again reset onto an eco buy as they sit down 2-4. The ones in gets us started though with a pick onto Rhino in mid.
Here.
A well-timed peek is once again going to push the numbers in favor of the defenders. But it's this time we got to see from New Mexico if they make any kind of adaptation.
DarkKnight getting such a lucky timing getting out of there. But that's going to give New Mexico so much more information knowing that there are going to be lurkers on to A site. So Tarleton may be pushing into a stack here.
Yeah, the enemy Cypher did hear DarkKnight leaving B main.
And I didn't even realize that Zeke got that close.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little bit surprised New Mexico gave up the A space so easily, just considering their Cypher had made so much progress into B main. Nevertheless, it was possible. And safe. He finds 3 in spawn. He's looking like a Ray boss in this map so far with his entries. He had 9 first bloods in map 1.
One enemy
He's
remaining.
continuing his progress here. Mozzie takes down his counterpart, Keanu, eliminated. And now it's all up to the Waylay, who has no business left in this round. Zeke's looking for his 4, sits on 4 HP. And he's gonna find it.
Shot. Oh, Sink just knowing all of these lineups, he's kind of known as Extra's prodigy. he's a Extra fanatic. You know, he watches that guy all day and every day and just learns so much more lineups from the game. Being able to make
showing off the individual mechanics that we've seen all year long out of him.
That goes there.
So much respect to the rounds we had from Sink. Sorry.
Yeah.
I overheard something in the background.
No, you're all good.
And he'll once again open us up. That's another first pick for him as Architect gets punished. I believe that might have been top mid smoke. An unfortunate start as rounds keep getting worse and worse for New Mexico. They have 5 ults up now. So ideally you want to see them win a gun round in this kind of spot. And it's once again Luno Zen to get a pick inside of mid and even up the numbers in a 4 versus 4.
Tarleton looked to kind of have the more same approach where they. Oh, and
Spike
already
down.
shot
B.
by Mickle. But Tarleton seemed to be leaning a little bit more towards B with the bomb, but they try to take space on A. But the Cypher changed up his site setup over to A, and I don't know if Tarleton's ready for it.
Pretty important frag found out of the breach there. I'm not really sure what Tarleton are going for. Trying to set up Mozzie on some kind of lurk. With only 30 seconds left, how much time do you really have to rotate and fake the site?
30 seconds left.
Maybe the fake isn't the goal. Maybe you want to go B and just have Mozzie look for something on the other side of the map, but he gets caught. It's Keanu to eliminate him.
It's giving them the bait. The fatal coming out as New Mexico don't even know that there was lurkers here. But DarkKnight might finding another.
DarkKnight is getting another kill. Koga's knife out from CT.
Can't use that.
Almost like a breakdown in the comms for New Mexico, you'd have to argue.
I think I've seen
I
the
mean,
Cowboys fumble more than this, but
no comment on that. But you see one player on the A site and just immediately pulls all the rotations and the ultimate. I just find that unbelievable considering you still have your camera up and everything. New Mexico getting absolutely. And now with Rhino, he has
one tip.
ultimate.
Bring them down.
This round is looking like a disaster for New Mexico, and they all go down. DarkKnight with 3.
That, you know, like it or not, that play that Mazzy did, you know, even if he did die, just being able to look at the Cypher and just New Mexico full on taking the bait, just.
And you know, you could look at any of these other rounds and argue there was ways New Mexico could have won that. That is a round that you cannot lose if you're in the position of New Mexico, especially being down 2-5 and with your 5 ults available to you. Absolutely fooled by Mozzie, who just walks on the A site, gets caught, but pulls every rotation and an ultimate. And DarkKnight turns the round in the favor of Tarleton, and they go up 62. In this round, they're going to look to be a lot more direct. I think he's just going to ult his way onto the B site. Clear out everything. Site is open, guys. Go ahead and plant. That's exactly what DarkKnight will do.
But this flood's going to be a little bit scary as they have breach ult and Waylay ult, as they are shown.
And here comes the utility, but none of it catches on to those 2 players back site. Looks like both those ultimates missed. And again, New Mexico, they're in a tough spot. I don't see a way back in. Koga hitting a nice shot with the Deagle on DarkKnight.
Bring them down.
How much more can these players really find? Expended those ultimates. He found nothing for them. Pickle gets a kill
One
on
enemy
Sync
remaining.
Marshall, but it doesn't seem like it's gonna matter. So for Rhino, these two absolute demon players, at least in the post plant, when it comes down to it on B, are again the ones to make sure the round goes in favor of Tarleton. They go up 7-2 as they command Sunset.
Yeah, and if you're on the side of New Mexico, you really want to be able to layer that ult, both of those ults out, as it was kind of a little bit overkill with sending the Waylay ult and the Breach ult in the same direction without covering the whole ground of the site. As Tarleton are just able to tuck into the corner completely unaffected. You know, they maybe had I think it was a fade seize on them, but you know, that's not really going to do much when you're trying to full retake site and you're thinking that everyone's just either stunned or slowed.
And I mean, the way I think about it is the Breach ult doesn't cover the entirety of the B site, right? So you want to layer those ultimates in a way that the Waylay ult catches on the players and the Breach ult catches onto everyone else, but it just didn't seem like the coordination was there, as all those ults were being used for those players mid-site. The backside players got to run free. And so now, if you're in the position of New Mexico, you have no ultimates remaining. Only the From the Shadows on Architect, who's arguably been your best performer, but it just seems like they're running out of gas. Because after that map 1 loss, being down 7-2, and as I keep talking, another pick goes the way of Tarleton. Mozzie catches Luan, playing aggressive A main. And this really just spells danger.
As we see,
Just don't want your playoff run to come to an end.
Tarleton's doing a full A split here, being able to take mid. And they're actually just going to control the side of B, as Waylay's going to get at the timing. But Tarleton has full
A
side
little bit
control.
unfortunate for Sync, as Rhino was there with them just a minute prior, but he had just left to go split B with his team. And then on that timing, Waylay pushing through the smoke on the left, catching Sync top mid. Pretty well done by him, but at least it's in a 4-4. And again, another post plant on B. Can New Mexico break through the ceiling? It doesn't seem like they can.
Great
As Mozzie
shot.
gets every kill along with Soph. It just seems like an absolute nightmare for New Mexico. Tarleton, they go up 8-2.
And I mean, just these macro, it's just a pure macro game here, and we're just seeing so much, so much of the macro experience from Mozzie and his IGLing experience, kind of shining through. You know,
As much as I've pointed out certain mistakes that I've seen from New Mexico, you gotta give credit to Tarleton for being direct and pushing themselves onto sites and getting themselves into these post-plant positions in the first place. And I think that is something important to know. Again, Waylay just instantly using the dash for early info. It's gonna spot like 3 or 4 players, but ultimately, I think it's so early in the round that it just doesn't mean much, especially when you're not taking any control on the other side of the map on A. Mozzie actually is gonna get tagged by the Marshall there, by the Breach. He's gonna go for the Breach swing and tag another player, so 2 101s done to Sync and Mozzie. Gives New Mexico a decent shot in this round.
Zoman is gonna ping out. They're hearing a lot of noise. DarkKnight still having control of B main, so Tarleton may look to try to regroup B main after making a little bit of noise here. Well, looks like it's the
This time we
opposite.
got a bit of a crossfire setup. Omen Blind actually going to be deployed to slow down these players along with the smoke.
Looks like a mid play's gonna be called here.
There you go, DarkKnight. He's going to find the first pick.
As he gets the
Second
second.
overheal. And that's the B site opened up yet again. Luans is going to do what he can to try and catch anyone on the cross, but
30 seconds
Tarleton,
left.
they don't seem interested in allowing it. The rest of his team has arrived. This crossfire is looking difficult to break through, and the spams are connecting. DarkKnight with another kill. And both these final 2 players, they're tagged up low. Luan does get the kill eventually, but again, it seems impossible for New Mexico to find any kind of way back into the site. Ryder's gonna jiggle. And it seems like the call is gonna be the save,
See, and
which
if-
unfortunately there's only 1 round left in the half, but
right.
you'll take what you can get if you're in New Mexico's spot.
And we're gonna see this Gecko ult is back online, and that's the result of Soph being a absolute demon when it comes to post play. confidence, being able to get all those ult points, makes Tarleton be able to have these better sieges on the site.
Last round before the
Yeah,
switch.
reiterated it a few times, but Rhino and Soph arguably the MVPs, at least in the post plants on B site, seemingly always delivering. So you like that out of your two initiator utility players.
And, I mean, you know, if you're a New Mexico fan here, what you would really like to see is me not tabbing out. Is New Mexico being able to solidify this B hole, just Tarleton being able to manipulate it to go straight into the action.
I like to mention, it seems like they haven't been able to play retakes, so you just really shouldn't be retaking in the first place. The one time they had success was on that pistol round when they were able to control backside. They just haven't been able to repeat that. Being interrupted by the A side execute. Tarleton made his way onto the bomb side. DarkKnight is going to land the res. He can find himself a double. DarkKnight's not slowing down, but Sync's got his back, and it's a 1 versus 3 for the breach.
Yeah, that
looking
full
to
ultimate really setting the deal there. After the Gecko hole, it's just a
Here's more.
Again, it's direct from Tarleton. They have a clear idea of what they want to do in these rounds, and they're executing it very well. Mikkel's going to try and clutch a 1 versus 3 as he finds first kill in the Mozzie. But it is Sync and Soph. Soph has been excellent in the post plans throughout these games. Sync's going to flash up the breach. He doesn't stand a chance. It's 10-2 Tarleton at the half.
just Tarleton showing
Switching
absolute
sides.
dominance over New Mexico on the attacking half. And the thing is, Tarleton White's kind of been a little bit more known for the defensive side, as in the last series they went undefeated on their defense. So
When you're looking at the game from a minimum-based standpoint, it's hard to see any way for New Mexico back in. Of course, it all starts with the pistol. But after losing map 1 and being in the position you are now on Sunset, you need a lot to go your way if you want any sort of chance in this map. And it's going to be Sync to maybe play aggressive here towards B main as all of the New Mexico State players gear up for a potential contact up B main. And I said contact, but they're not shying away from this one. They're going to be running. Sync's going to look at the flash. Here we go. Flash lands onto all the players. He catches all 5, but doesn't land any kills. Takes Waylay down to 1 HP. If the execute still comes through. Dumping utility. Soph gets a spam through the cage. Waylay's forced to recall. Trade comes through from Ludo Zen. We now sit in the 4 versus 4 with Tarleton. They maintain control of backside. The breach is flashed up. Player from Tarleton. They flood onto the bottom site. Soph gets 3. It's 11-2, and this map is all but over.
and I mean, unless you're NRG, I mean, I don't really see any way of New Mexico coming back into this
And
game.
again, I mentioned it's a momentum-based game, and for New Mexico to have any sort of chance in trying to turn that on its head, it required a flashy start, and they didn't get that here. The pistol going the way of Tarleton,
Oh, this is a nice spot.
and obviously you're going to likely see a force buy from the side of New Mexico, but it's a tall order, and one that I just cannot see New Mexico having a way back into. But nevertheless, they're going to go for what looks to be a similar execute onto the B site, but this time they've contacted their way up. Seems like they have the utility ready to come through. There's a stun from Breach, but it's Danos backside, so it's been an immovable object in this game, in this series in particular. She doesn't seem interested in dealing with all 5 players from New Mexico. She's going to eventually give up the site, and Tarleton, they're going to play a 5v5 retake. I mean, Keanu's just pushing into market by himself. DarkKnight has found 2 kills on the site. Here comes the flood from Tarleton. DarkKnight, he's not slowing down. Gets himself
Getting
4.
And I mean, I think I saw one stinger on the side of New Mexico. In situations like that, you need to buy up, as Tarleton now find themselves on match point and series point, putting themselves one more round away from either getting first or second place in the division.
Some showing from our Texans here today. New Mexico kind of just losing a bit of their coordination as we've reached the conclusion of this series. You kind of see some of the individual plays, a little bit of desperate plays coming out. from them. But might be looking at the final round of the game, sitting at 12-2. Tarleton commanding a massive lead here, and they're going to try to make their way to the grand finals. Flash does connect. He finds two, goes for the transfer to the third, can't get it, but the trade is there for DarkKnight. 3 versus 2. It is Rhino to be the next challenger. Can't quite dodge that Omen paranoia. He's going to fall back into deep elbow. He looks for a potential shot. Doesn't quite connect.
One enemy remaining.
But Rhino,
Spike
he wants to
down
shut the
A.
door in the series, but
Last player
Architect
standing.
wants to give themselves a chance. Takes out Soph. It is only Mozzie left remaining, but this player's on 1 HP. Architect, you may have the read, but do you have the shot to go with it? You do not. Mozzie closes us out at 13-2. Tarleton, they are going to the grand finals as they take this series 2-0.
And, you know, some of the closing notes coming from that is, I mean, on the side of Tarleton, you got to feel ecstatic. You just got to feel so much joy being able to show up in semifinals that dominant. That's not easy to do.
And I'd say it's definitely a confidence booster going into next week. Worth highlighting too, Sink, he's going to be the MVP of both series, leading the way in terms of ACS and raw stats alone. But pretty solid performance out of all of our Texans here today as they get the win on Bind 13-9, going into a win on Sunset 13-2. But that will do it for us here this week as they will compete in grand finals for a chance at an NECC championship next Monday.
And I believe, at least for Tarleton ourselves, that would be our 3rd championship win for divisionals. I may be wrong on that.
Yeah, I'm not entirely certain.
Yeah, as you know, trying to taking the reign from Tarleton Purple as we didn't even make it into playoffs this semester. But Valorant White may be able to help continue a little bit of our legacy from last semester to this semester. Just being able to
showcasing the hard work that they've put into this season that we haven't really gotten to see on stream at all throughout the year. But anyway, like I said, that'll do it. GG's to our opponents in Mexico State. Hard fought match, but the win will go to Tarleton here today. We have Overwatch on Wednesday at 10 p.m. will be our next scheduled playoff game. Marvel Rivals is going to be tomorrow on Tuesday, and we'll be looking to support those teams as they continue their own playoff runs. But that will do us for us here today. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been Bjorddd and Schlitten. Yeah. And we'll be heading out. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it as always.